Good day, everyone. I welcome you to our today's subject, English First, Additional Language, F18. Today's topic is writing as a process approach. The outline of our presentation is writing is a project. We are going to discuss the effectiveness of writing process and provide with the examples too. The process will include pre-write, evidence, organize, draft, revise, and proofread. Firstly, I want us to go back to the background of CAPS with regard to process writing. Writing is a process. Writing and presenting combines three elements. The first element is using the writing process. The second element is learning and applying knowledge of the structure and features of different text types. And the third element is learning and applying knowledge of paragraph and sentence structure and punctuation. A writing instruction will usually involve working through the writing process. However, not every step of the process will be used on every occasion. For example, if learners are writing a familiar text type, they will not need to analyze its structure and language features in so much detail. There may be occasions when teachers need to focus on sentence structure or paragraph writing, or learners write text without drafts in preparation for tests or for examination. Writing and designing text is a process, and learners need the opportunity to put this process into practice. Learners should decide on the purpose and audience of a text to be written or designed. They should brainstorm ideas using, like, for example, mind maps, flowcharts, or lists. They should consult relevant sources where they will be able to select relevant information and organize ideas. They should produce a first draft which takes into account purpose, which takes into account audience, which takes into account topic and genre. They should also read drafts critically, and they should get feedback from others, like their classmates, the teachers, or the school stakeholders. Learners should edit and proofread the draft. And when they are done, then they will have to produce a well-designed final version. Remember that learners should write every day, and they should often be given opportunity to write without an assessment required, without being awarded marks. In more formal writing, teachers are advised to assess a particular skill or sub-skill being dealt with during that particular stage of the process. Like, for example, all language skills need to be addressed during each step of the process. Peers should also learn to edit one another's work, as this interaction is an important part of the process writing, and it improves own and other awareness of the process. An important aspect of this learning outcome is the presentation of written work, and it can be shared with peers, learners around. It can be shared with teachers, like I said, with the school as a whole, or with parents, or with the wider range of stakeholders. The learner should take pride in a rounded, complete product. So learners should in overall, be informed about the characteristics and requirements of different kinds of creative text. A short a short description of kinds of writing text that learners are required to produce is provided below. Let's check them. Process writing stages, and we'll give you examples too. The first step in process writing is planning or pre-writing. When planning or pre-writing, learners should analyze the structure, language features, and register of the text type that has been selected. Purpose, audience, and context. Brainstorm ideas. Discuss the criteria. Research the topic, main ideas, and supporting detail. The first step is drafting. In drafting, learners should write a rough first draft that takes into account purpose, audience, topic, and text type. Learners should choose appropriate words. For example, in a narrative, use evocative words and phrases to make the writing vivid. Learners should organize ideas in a logical sequence so that the argument flows smoothly in an essay or in a text. Learners should organize ideas and images so that the story can make sense. Learners should establish an individual voice and style. And lastly, they should read drafts critically and get feedback from teachers, get feedback also from learners or their classmates. The next step is revising, editing, proofreading, and presenting. In this step, learners should evaluate their own and other classmates' work or the writing for improvement using the set criteria. Learners should refine with choice, sentence, and paragraph structure. They should work on sequencing and linking of paragraphs. They should take consideration of ambiguity, verbosity, and any offensive language. The use of grammar, spelling, and punctuation should be applied correctly. They should prepare the final draft, including the layout. For example, headings and fonts should be prepared right in the final draft. And then when they are done all of this, they should present the text, the final text. Let's move on to the type of text. We have kind of essays. We have essays, and under essays, we have the kind of essays. And secondly, we have transactional writing. And under transactional writing, we have the kind of transactional writing, of which they will be divided into two. So first, let's check the kinds of essay. We have the narrative essay, we have the descriptive essay, we have the expository essay, we have the argumentative essay, we have the discursive essay, and reflective essay. So today, remember, we'll be only focusing on one type of an essay and one type of a transactional text. So now, moving on, another type of text, transactional writing. We said we have two types of transactional writing, which is the longer transactional text, and shorter transactional text. And then under longer transactional text, we have official letter, for example, we have friendly letter, we have internal memorandum, we have writing a short article, we have agenda and minutes of the meeting, speech, dialogue, interview, review, newspaper article, magazine article, newspaper column, curriculum vitae, also known as a CV. We have obituary, we have brochure, and editorial. Those falls under longer transactional text. Now, let's check the shorter transactional text. The shorter transactional text, we have invitation, we have diary, we have postcard, we have direction, we have instructions, we have advertisement, flyer, we have poster, we have filling in a form, writing an essay, and sending effects. Those fall under the shorter transactional text. Let's move on. So we're going to see the difference between an essay and transactional writing. An essay is an extended piece of writing in which a writer expresses his or her own point of view on the topic given. The length of the text ranges from 200 to 250 words for English second additional language, 250 to 300 words for English first additional language, and 400 to 450 for English home language. An essay should have an introduction, body, and conclusion. Now let's briefly explain each of these. Introduction. The introduction should catch the reader's attention. It should define the topic and briefly tell the reader what the essay will be addressing. Body. The body comprises the full content of the essay. The body must be divided into paragraphs, each of which must pursue a specific idea to the end. The writer must address all the idea she wanted to address, keeping to the topic. And then lastly, conclusion. The conclusion is the ending, the rounding off of the presentation. This should tie up all that was presented by the writer. A parting shot that justifies the writer's point of view. As this is the end, the writer shouldn't add any new information. So no new information must be brought. Whereas the transactional writing texts are either a response or an initiation of a response. As implied, these are transaction texts. A friendly letter of appreciation will possibly yield a response, as much as a speech will get the audience won over or yelling in disagreement. Transactional texts, as we said, they are divided into longer transactional text and shorter transactional text. Now, let's check the discursive essay. Discursive essay is objective and aims to give a balanced view of both sides of an argument. The writer considered various aspects of the topic under discussion and presents opposing views impartially. The writer may come to a particular conclusion at the end of the essay, but the arguments for and against must be well balanced and clearly analyzed in the course of the essay. Now let's check our essay here. An example. We're going to do only a discursive essay, right? So the topic, should cell phones be allowed in school? Now, let's read the introduction. Cell phones must not be allowed at school because it makes the learner to lose focus on the lesson during time. Most of the learners who use their phones at school use it to research information instead of their own knowledge on their minds. So it means now if a teacher is asking a certain question, learners will no longer engage their minds. They just take their phones and go to Google or Wikipedia and research and answer. So it means it makes learners to be lazy to think. Some learners concentrate on their cell phones than their schoolwork and the teacher. So others, instead of focusing on what the teacher is doing or what the work that the teacher gave them, they are busy on their cell phones. The body, learners are more attached to their cell phones than their studies. When they don't allow cell phones at school, at least learners will have time to focus on their studies during school time instead of browsing through their social medias or taking videos. We can see this happening during school time. You will see on YouTube, on Twitter, Instagram, there will be some learners posting videos. At that particular time, they were supposed to be seated down in the classroom and learning. Learners can use their cell phones wisely. You see, it was in agreement and against. Learners can use their cell phones wisely by creating a group chat that will help each other with schoolwork, you see, but they use it for groups that are not beneficial academically. However, this is our introduction. Most of learners go with their cell phones to school and realize that at the end of the day, they have learned nothing at all because they spend almost their day listening to songs and dancing as groups during lesson time. Moreover, cell phones are important as well, and they help learners to get extra information about their schoolwork, such as Vodacom Learning app and others like the ones that I know for mathematics, they call it Learning Papa or something like that. The only thing that can solve the cell phone usage at school is if parents and teachers work together in monitoring the learners' internet sites and limit the usage of cell phones. So now let's move on to an example of a transactional text. So we'll do a shorter transactional text. Writing an email. In this world of technology, electric communication is fast replacing the older way of writing letters. We know people used to write letters. When you apply at a higher institution, they will respond using a letter where you go to your post mail, and then you take out a letter and you read or you respond back. An electric mail is posted from computer to another with the support of the internet. So the components below characterize an email. The first component is the recipient's address. The recipient's address, in which most cases is the recipient's name and the server point, as well as the country which the server point is based. For example, you can say Sahilv, which is a name, at Gmail, which is a server, .za, which is a country. Then the second component is CC, copy. This may be the recipient whose attention is called to the email. These recipients could not be expected to do anything, but only to know that some form of communication took place. Like, for example, a supervisor may copy the manager an email invitation to a meeting, maybe an interview meeting with a candidate. And this copy could come in handy when there are disputes later. Another component is the subject. The subject is a summary of the content of the email. Another component is message. A message. Let's check the message. What do we have under the message? The message is what the email is all about, the content, the core content. And then we have lastly the sender's name. The sender's name, for instance, the address reflects automatically when the email is received. The sender may choose to provide other contact details at the end, like the sender can choose to provide with their cell phone numbers after an email. And this is called a what? A signature. So let's look at the example here. We have our CV, our email. Let's read. We can see the first component here, the recipient, flondi@yahoo.com. We can see the other components here, CC, Kadimenise at Outlook was copied. And then we can see the other component here, the subject, which is the summary of the content of the email. The subject is outstanding fee. We can see the message here, the core content, it reads as, "Dear all, you are reminded to submit all of the outstanding proof of payment by no later than the 1st of October 2020. Non-payment learner will result in not being able to view their results and upcoming activities. You are advised to consult the finance team for your arrangements. Ms. Pumishalva, this is extra information, will not be available to contact due to family emergency leave. Please contact the other team members alternatively. Kind regards, Nathan." We said this is the sender's name or the sender's address. And we said if you, optionally, the sender may choose to provide other contact details at the end. But here we only had a name, which is Nathan. Let's move. Sorry about that. Okay. The benefit of teaching. Writing makes for better reader. And another benefit is it improves comprehension and critical thinking. Teachers must learn how to create classroom environment that is conducive to writing and support effective writing instruction for all learners. Another benefit is it makes learners to appreciate the opportunity to create something meaningful, and almost all report increased confidence in their writing abilities. Greater empathy for and improved collaboration among peers. It also allows students to apply principles from a particular discipline to their own experience through writing. Let's move on to the challenges. To the challenges of writing approaches. Challenges of implementing a process approach. The first one that we have is lack of vocabulary. Vocabulary is not something that a child can learn in a day or by reading the dictionary. If you want to help your child enrich his vocabulary, you can always try having a conversation where you insert new words and phrases every day, and then giving your child books to read or simply help with them form content by using vocabulary they have learned the same day at school. So this is a daily routine. Another challenge is weak argumentation. Argumentation is highly important in writing and will be necessary if your child wants to succeed. When in high school, students must learn how to argument their thoughts and ideas in order to be able to write important pieces of content later on, such as an admission letter or their CV or their resume. Another challenge is failing to structure ideas effectively by raising an issue. Sorry about that. There's internet network problem. Okay, let's go back to failing to structure ideas effectively. Writing structure is something a student learns by learning writing mechanism. However, students' time at school is limited and they often fail to learn the best way to structure their ideas in a content. This is why parents must work with their children at home and they should help them to communicate better. They should put their argumentation ability to test by raising an issue to their children and see how they cope with it. And they should also direct them when necessary till they feel like they feel how to be consistent. Another challenge is poor grammar and syntax skills. Poor grammar and syntax skills. You can easily notice the progress your child makes in terms of grammar as a parent and syntax if you listen to them. You should point out the mistakes they make. Do not say, he or she's just a child, she's just a baby. So in order to help them, always point out the mistakes they make and then ask your child what he had learned that day at school and have a conversation often. While speaking to your child, you must always pay attention to the sentences they form. Another challenge is plagiarism. Plagiarism is not only frowned upon, but it is forbidden too. With today's technology advancing this rapidly, detecting plagiarism is now easier than ever. Teachers will surely try to explain this to your child, but you must make sure that they understand at home how important unique content is if they want to succeed. Rather than just copying, they should understand the importance of unique content. And then another challenge is formatting and resource organization. In order to get success, a paper should be properly formatted. All sources used must have a good organization and be cited in a way suitable for the type of paper. Make sure that your child has this clear and formats all papers in the way requested by their teachers. Simply checking their papers before the delivery date is enough to help them understand what they did wrong. So as a parent, before your child submit a paper at school or if they had a piece that they should do at home, before they hand it out to school, please make sure that you check the paper, okay? And make sure that they use the right format required at school or by the teacher. Now, the last challenge is hard or unfamiliar topics. This is very, very difficult for learners if they are not taught. The majority of learners will feel lack of knowledge about a certain topic. So when this happens, as a parent at home, this is your job to help them understand the topic. So if they were given a piece to write at home, so it's a parent's job to check or to help their children to understand the topic and then to also teach them how to research to get necessary information to form their opinions correctly. At high school, a key point in a student education is at high school because of the importance it carries in terms of writing. It is crucial to develop these skills for the future, but learners often encounter challenges in terms of writing. In order to help them to solve or to overcome these challenges, parents need to understand these challenges and they need to learn the best way to face them in order to help their children. Conclusion. Process writing is a method of explaining the writing task into different parts of component. It is very important to stress your learners that writing should be tackled as a process rather than a product. Learners should be taught that writing doesn't just happen. Writing is planned and writing is developed gradually. And the more you write, the more it takes shape as it grows. So we have 3 questions just to make sure if we understood each other or if I was clear enough in explaining the process of writing. The first question is, what are the approaches to writing? We spoke about this. Secondly, what are the steps of the writing process? We spoke about the steps. And lastly, what is the process approach in teaching? We spoke about this. These questions are just to help you to remember or to help you to notice